Well, hello there. This is Pam Rigden from NLP For Coaches. I am the founder and I like to call myself the Chief Magic Officer because it's just a little bit more fun, isn't it, than CEO? Anyway, so I am going to talk to you today about something which can come as a surprise to a lot of people. I'm going to talk to you about NLP and coaching and absolutely clarify that NLP and coaching are two entirely separate skill sets. NLP is not coaching and coaching is not NLP. I cannot state it any more clearly than that. How do I know? Why am I able to share this with you? Well, I have been a coach now since 2003. So over 20 years ago, I was trained in ICF recognized coaching skills. And also 23 years ago, I trained as an NLP practitioner, master practitioner, and then NLP coach, and then finally as an NLP trainer so that I could teach other people, practitioner and master practitioner. And that indeed is what I did for, at least 10 to 15 years. I used to teach prac and master prac in the way that other NLP trainers still do and have done since NLP appeared in the late 1960s. That's what I did. Mostly I taught fitness professionals because that at the time was my background. I, however, very much stuck to the playbook and taught prac and master prac using the very same manual that my trainer got from her trainer and from his trainer before him, and all the way back to the late 1960s. It's kind of ironic because NLP is all about change, and yet, you see what I'm saying? So anyway, let's fast forward, shall we? After all those years teaching NLP using the traditional model of prac and master prac, I can absolutely tell you how hard it is to integrate NLP skills into what we can call a coaching conversation. Coaching is a conversation. NLP is technique driven. I prefer to call techniques processes because that sounds altogether less scary. But here's the thing, because it's technique driven, what happens is what used to happen to me as well when I was coaching one-to-one is you would be happily having a coaching conversation with a client following the ICF style of coaching, asking, how can I serve you today? What would you like to accomplish in this session? How will I know that we've kind of got there? What will your goal? All of those good coaching questions, and then allowing your client space to answer those questions. And then somewhere in the course of that conversation, a limiting belief would pop up, or perhaps even what we call a part, when a client says, one part of me wants to do this, one part of me wants to do that. And in NLP, we have techniques, processes to work with limiting beliefs and parts. So limiting belief change processes like the submodality limiting belief change and parts integration. But
those just don't fit into a conversation. So you'd be happily having this conversation and think, oh, there's a belief, there's part, what do I do? And then you would switch into running, because that's how it's described in NLP, running a technique rather than having a coaching conversation, which you then need to come back to once this technique was all done and dusted. And honestly, clunky at best, and frankly, harmful at worst, because that switch was uncomfortable for me as the coach stroke NLP practitioner. So if it was uncomfortable for me, imagine what that was like to be on the receiving end of. Well, not only did it interrupt and break the flow of the coaching conversation, it broke rapport and with it trust. So they just don't go together. And you see, this is the mistake that I still see coaches making today. They assume, as indeed I used to, that they could go and take a practitioner course, a master practitioner course, and at the end of that training, they would be a better coach. But no, they may well be a very good NLP practitioner or master practitioner, and they were previously a very good coach. But having that NLP qualification does not make them a better coach, because the two do not easily fit together, if at all, just a tiny little bit. And so what would happen is, basically, those coaches spend a lot of money, £5,000 to £10,000. They spend a lot of time. My Prac and Master Prac training took me 40 days. It's a little bit shorter than that now, but it's still a huge chunk of time when coaches, frankly, cannot afford to not be earning. So it just isn't the best solution for coaches, because what they get at the end of that training is a new skill set. Yeah, they get a new skill set. They get a new identity as an NLP practitioner or master practitioner. And then they find that it makes no difference to the quality of their coaching. And that's really, really a terrible thing. So and I see this all the time, because now that I do it very differently, and to be fair, it's not their fault, is it? Because it took me almost 20 years to work out how to safely bring NLP into a coaching conversation safely. And that involved literally going through my manuals, disregarding much of what is there because it just never really seen the light of day. We all tend to rely on certain processes that we find to be the most helpful. So I binned off the stuff that I'd never used if I wasn't going to use it in 20 years. And then I binned off all of the stuff that is great, but can only be safely used in real life, in person, in the room with your clients. And then I adapted some processes that ideally you would use in real life with a client, and however you can take the essence of them and bring that essence safely into a coaching conversation. And really what was left forms the basis of
the programs that I now teach, my NLP Coach Intro and my NLP Coach Certification courses, which are ICF accredited, that's the International Coaching Federation, at the CPD level. The certification is CPD, the intro level, you do get some credits, ICF credits, although it's obviously a smaller program. It does what it says on the tin. It's an introduction to my style of NLP coaching. And why else is it a great solution for coaches? Because the ICF accreditation is way more relevant, way more relevant. So in doing what I do, I help coaches save money, and I help them save a whole heck of a lot of time, and they actually get to the end of their program understanding how to integrate and apply NLP into their coaching practice from the very next time they meet their client. So it is immediately applicable. That's how I roll. That's what I do. It's no surprise that I get pracs and master pracs actually sign up for my training, bless them, because they have put in the hours, they've paid the cash, and frankly, whilst they have their NLP knowledge and they've practiced the techniques, they really don't know how to use that in order to enhance their coaching skills. And that's the piece that I teach them. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And thank you for listening. I will be back, no doubt. So the magic happens where you bring NLP and coaching. There's, if you think of a Venn diagram, it's that little overlap in the middle. That is where the magic happens. Okay, lovely to chat with you. I'll see you again. Thank you for being here. Signing off, yours, Pam.